I do what I do.
And we fought back. We were never just these passive folks who just accepted our condition as though we were born to be slaves. The human spirit is indomitable. You see, you can only keep people enslaved so long. They have a yearning for freedom. You see, and that's no different than us. So we talk about San Miguel de Guadalupe. We talked about the New York City slave rebellions, and so now the Stono Rebellion. See, now this is particular. It started on a Sunday morning. Just imagine. Why did you think they started on Sunday? It's the time when white folks are in church. September 9th, 1739. It was down in South Carolina. Okay? And at this point, it was 20 black people, 20 Africans, 20 black people, believed to have been from the Kingdom of the Kongo in West Central Africa. They didn't volunteer to come here. These people didn't volunteer. They didn't go through an immigration process. They weren't properly screened. No, they they were forced to come here. And these men were no strangers to war. They were veterans of war. They were warriors. You understand? How do we start off with this conversation? Warriors. Just like our foundational Black American soldiers set off our civil rights march and our march for freedom, our fight for freedom. These men in the Stono Rebellion, they were warriors. And their leader was a man named Jimmy Cato, or Cato in some records, but Jimmy is what they call him. And he was literate, which means he could read. He was Catholic, and he was influenced by the Portuguese missionaries before he was captured and sold into slavery. What I need y'all to understand is this, and this goes back into when I talked about reparations for foundational Black Americans. So everybody has you believe that the leaders in these African tribes were just some dudes out there swinging from trees, unsophisticated. No, the Congo had a special relationship with the Portuguese. Even today, a lot of the elite have Portuguese surnames and names. They were educated. They would literally send their children to be educated in Portugal. So these were educated. They knew numbers, they knew history, they knew math, and they struck deals with the Portuguese for slaves, for slave trade. These people knew exactly what they were doing. And so anybody who is still holding Africa innocent, you're a fool at this point. You're an idiot at this point. But nevertheless, Jimmy was one of the educated people, and he understood Portuguese, and he spoke and he read, and he was also a warrior. And he and some of his comrades gathered at near Stono River, which is southwest of Charleston, and struck the first blow at a local store. They unalived the shopkeeper and took all his weapons and all his ammunition. In some kind of way, they got some drums, and they start rallying and they start marching towards a Spanish Florida, right? Here we go, Florida again, where the Spanish crown had promised freedom to the enslaved Africans who reached their territory and converted to Catholicism. See, the Spanish were not only interested in moral claims of liberty, they sought to determine the undermine the British colonies by draining them of their labor force. See, white folk in Europe have been fighting each other for literally thousands of years. And the Spanish and the English have never been friends for any long period of time. They were fighting it out. And so, here you are, you trying to get your neighbors slaves to riot and come on down there with you. Now, so basically they say, yeah, come on down. You be free down here. Because the Spanish, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later, they unified on religion. You see, not so much color, but religion. Because remember, they just got rid of the Moors. The Moors had occupied Spain for some 800 years, you see. And so they were like, yeah, come on down. So the brothers was down there. They were marching. They were shouting liberty, liberty. The numbers went from a couple dozen to 80 men. And along the way, they burned plantations. They unalived between 20 to 25 of these British colonists. men, women, and children. Can you imagine that? The only people they spared and who showed mercy were the ones who had a reputation for treating fair. So it wasn't just about white. It was about, they wasn't just hurting innocent white folk, the ones who were kind and fair. Hey, they let them go. And it was terrifying to these white people. Shout out to my beautiful sister, the Crimson Cure. Shout out to Urban Eagle. Okay? It's scared. Y'all make sure y'all check out the Crimson Cure. Y'all, she's always over there giving that good knowledge over there, setting them straight. You see? But here's what I need you to understand. This scared the living bejesus out of these white folk. This is the environment that they were living in. You see? But of course, this was met with brutal resistance. So by the afternoon, the colonial militia had mobilized. Okay, they called 911. Okay, and a fight took place, and some of the rebels were unalived outright. They got killed off rip, and the others, some were captured, some were executed publicly to try to warn, to deter, and the rest of them scattered in the swamp and headed, and they were headed down the following weeks and months, and so and some of them may have escaped to Florida. But again, Florida was a problem. Somebody typed Florida problem in the chat room. And it was in the aftermath of this that South Carolina passed the Negro Act of 1740. It was a harsh set of laws that restricted Black people's movement, education. We don't want you gathering together. You can't teach them how to read. We don't want you assembling. We don't want them earning money. Because remember, Jimmy was an educated man. He had been educated in the Congo. He could read. He's an educated man. He spoke Portuguese. And so they realized this education with the right mentality. My God, these people can overthrow what we got. This is 20 men. You understand? But see, again, we're talking about what climate is this creating for these white folk who know they're doing wrong. Right? See, the Stono Rebellion remained etched in the colonial consciousness. It was a loud, defiant message that Black freedom was not a favor to be granted. It was a right to be seized. And that the spirit of Jimmy, okay? Jimmy with an E, and his men lived on, not only in the future revolts, but in the legacy of resistance that still courses through the struggle for liberation right now. You understand? Now, what about Gabriel Prosser's rebellion in 1800? Right, let me tell you a story. One of these, this is another one of these stories buried beneath centuries of silence, a story that they don't include in the textbooks. They barely whisper about it. Shout out to Rico the Great. But this story deserves to be shouted. It's the tale of enslaved Black men in Virginia who dare to dream, not just for freedom, but for power. A man envisioned a nation within a nation. You understand me? Gabriel Prosser, he envisioned a Black nation within a nation. They don't have to give it. We're going to take it. I want you to think about this. The gall of this man, right? It's 1800, the summer of 1800. This is height of slavery. Slavery been going on for centuries. He said, you know what? Hot summer night in Virginia. See, he wasn't just any slave man. He was 24-year-old blacksmith. He was intelligent. He was literate. And he was a tall man, tall, handsome man. You know, blacksmiths, they work with the metal and iron and whatnot. And he had vision. He was owned by a man named Thomas Prosser. And Gabriel spent his days forging iron and sharpening tools, but his mind, he was hammering out a revolution. He had read about Haiti. He had heard about France. He had studied the American Revolution. And in every tale of tyranny falling, he saw a blueprint. His plan, it was nothing short of revolutionary. He would lead over 1,000 armed Black men, free and enslaved men, into Richmond, Virginia, seize control of the city, and take the governor, James Monroe, hostage and demand the abolition of slavery. But see, Gabriel didn't just want freedom. He wanted a new Black republic. Right there in the belly of the South. He even forged swords and spears in secret, preparing for a war while pretending to labor. And so on August 30th, 1800, that was the day it was supposed to happen. Gabriel's army was mobilized, and the weapons were ready, and the city was in reach. But then the skies opened. You had a massive thunderstorm. It sounds like it's hurricane season, right? And the storm rolled through Richmond. It flooded all the roads. It washed out the bridges, and Gabriel men, they couldn't cross. And so the uprising stalled, and that delay proved to be fatal, because while the storm raged, so did the fear and the betrayal. Okay, because what happened was two snitches, two nocturnal animals that forage and eat garbage at night, right? They went and got scared, and went and told that white overseer. And in the panic, the Virginia militia sprang to action. They raided the plantations. They rounded up the suspects. They hunted Gabriel like he was a ghost. And for weeks, he vanished. He just disappeared. He slipped through the cracks of every system they saw. But by September 24th, 1800, about a month or so later, they captured him in Norfolk. Somebody told on him.
What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D.
People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. Black man talk, pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something and you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Holly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you've been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.